If you're over 60 and you've been using olive oil thinking it's protecting your blood flow and sexual health, I need to stop you right now because you're missing something critical. That bottle of olive oil in your kitchen? It's doing almost nothing for the tiny arteries that control your erections. And the reason so many men lose firmness, lose morning wood, and lose the ability to perform when it matters most isn't because of age, low testosterone, or bad luck. It's because nobody ever told you the truth about what's silently happening inside the smallest blood vessels in your body. You know the feeling I'm talking about. You wake up and nothing is there. No signal. No firmness. Just emptiness where strength used to live. You avoid intimacy because you're terrified of what might happen, or what might not happen. You make excuses. You pretend you're tired. You tell yourself it doesn't matter as much anymore. But inside, you feel like a piece of your identity is slipping through your fingers, and you don't know how to grab it back. Maybe you've tried everything already. You switched to healthier fats. You started exercising. You cut out processed foods. You did what every doctor and health article told you to do. And yet here you are, lying awake at night wondering if this is just how the rest of your life is going to be. Wondering if you'll ever feel like a man again. Wondering if your partner notices the distance growing between you. The silence that's louder than any conversation you've ever had. Here's what nobody is telling you. Olive oil alone is like trying to start a car with only half a key. It supports the highway, your larger arteries, your heart, your brain. But it cannot unlock the gate to the smallest vessels in your body. The ones buried deep in your penis that determine whether blood rushes in with force or barely trickles through. Those vessels need a chemical signal, a trigger, a switch that tells them to relax and open. And olive oil doesn't carry that switch. But vinegar does. When vinegar enters your bloodstream, it activates a molecule called nitric oxide, the exact chemical your arteries need to relax, expand, and flood with blood. And when you combine vinegar with olive oil at the right time, in the right way, something remarkable happens. Blood flow surges. Circulation rebuilds. And men who thought their erections were gone forever start waking up with the kind of firmness they haven't felt in years. Some men notice a difference in as little as 48 hours. Not because of medication. Not because of expensive supplements. Because their body finally received the signal it had been waiting for. I'm Dr. May Anderson. I've been a urologist and men's health specialist for over 25 years. And I've spent my entire career helping men just like you understand what's really happening inside their bodies when sexual function starts to fade. I've sat across from thousands of men who walked into my office convinced they were broken, convinced their best years were behind them, convinced there was nothing left to do except decline. And I've watched those same men walk back out weeks later standing taller, smiling wider, and telling me they feel like themselves again. Before we go any further, I need you to understand something important. What I'm about to share with you is not theory. This is not guesswork. This is a protocol I've tested and refined with real men, in real life, who are struggling with the exact same frustrations you're dealing with right now. And if you're serious about reclaiming your strength, your confidence, and your ability to perform when it matters, then stay with me because the next 15 minutes could change the trajectory of the rest of your life. But first, let me prove to you that I understand exactly what you're experiencing. Right now, before your next meal, try this. Take 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in a tall glass of water and drink it slowly, about 10 to 15 minutes before you eat. That single step will blunt the blood sugar spike that's been quietly damaging the inner lining of your arteries for years. You'll feel steadier after meals, less sluggish, less heavy, and over time, you'll start to notice warmth returning to your hands and feet, energy returning to your mornings. That's real and it works. But here's the truth that most men never hear. Vinegar alone won't restore what you've lost. It opens the door, but it can't carry the fuel your blood vessels need to fully expand and fill with blood. That's why men take vinegar every day and still watch their energy fade, still avoid intimacy, still feel like their body is betraying them one piece at a time. They have half the solution. And half a solution is just another form of failure. So if you're wondering why nothing you've tried has worked the way you hoped it would, if you're frustrated because you've done everything right and still feel like you're getting worse instead of better, this is why. You've been operating with incomplete information. And today that changes. Your penis is not a muscle. It's not controlled by willpower or testosterone alone. It's a hydraulic organ. A chamber of delicate blood vessels that depend entirely on pressure and flow to function. Think of it like a network of garden hoses. When those hoses are flexible, clean, and wide open, water rushes through with force. But when they've been kinked, clogged, and stiffened by years of inflammation, oxidative damage, and high blood sugar, the pressure drops. The flow weakens. And what used to happen effortlessly now feels impossible. Here's the brutal reality. A 5% reduction in blood flow to your penis can result in a 50% loss in firmness. That's not an exaggeration. That's the biology of erectile function. And for men over 60, that decline has been happening silently for years, maybe even decades, while you were focused on everything else, your career, your family, your responsibilities. You didn't notice the slow fade until one day you woke up and realized the signal was gone. And here's what makes this even more devastating. The arteries in your penis are the smallest in your entire body. They're thinner than the arteries in your heart, your brain, or your legs, which means they're the first to show damage when your vascular system starts to break down. That's why erectile strength isn't just about sex. It's the most honest early warning system your body has for cardiovascular health. When those tiny vessels stop working, it's your body screaming at you that something deeper is wrong. The arteries stay tight and narrow because the inner lining, the endothelium, has lost its ability to release nitric oxide, the chemical signal that tells blood vessels to relax and open. Without nitric oxide, it doesn't matter how much you want an erection. It doesn't matter how attracted you are to your partner. It doesn't matter how hard you try. The hydraulic system is locked. The gate is closed. And nothing is getting through. This is why you can feel healthy in every other way. Your cholesterol numbers stable, your weight managed, your mind sharp, and still lose the one signal that makes you feel like yourself. This is why you wake up and nothing is there. This is why intimacy has become a minefield of anxiety instead of a source of connection and joy. And this is why you've started to believe that maybe this is just how life is now. Maybe your time has passed. Maybe you're done. But what if you're not? What if the switch was always there, waiting for the right catalyst to turn it back on? You've been told olive oil is the answer. Maybe you've read articles about the Mediterranean diet. Maybe your doctor told you to use more healthy fats. Maybe you started drizzling olive oil on your salads every night, thinking you were doing everything you could to protect your heart and your circulation. And you were doing something right. Olive oil is powerful. It reduces systemic inflammation. It protects your larger arteries. It stabilizes blood pressure. It nourishes your brain. But here's what nobody explained to you. Olive oil supports the highway, but it doesn't open the gate. It protects the big vessels, but it can't trigger nitric oxide in the tiny ones. It's like having premium fuel in your car but no key to start the ignition. You're close. You're doing the right thing. But you're missing the final piece that makes everything work. And that's where most men get stuck. They do everything their doctors tell them. They eat healthier. They exercise. They take supplements. They follow all the rules. And they still lie in bed at night wondering why their body won't respond, why their erections are weak or non-existent, why the spark that used to define them has disappeared. If you're like most men I work with, you've already tried multiple approaches. Maybe you bought supplements online that promise male vitality and peak performance, only to find out they did nothing except drain your wallet. Maybe you started walking every day, hoping that movement alone would fix your circulation. Maybe you've even considered medication but hesitated because you don't want to depend on a pill for the rest of your life, because you don't want the side effects, because deep down you're hoping there's a natural way to get your body working again. None of that makes you weak. None of that makes you a failure. It makes you human. And it makes you someone who was operating with incomplete information, someone who was doing his best with what he knew, someone who deserves to finally understand what's really going on. Exercise is critical. Don't misunderstand me. It strengthens your cardiovascular system. It burns visceral fat. It improves insulin sensitivity. But exercise alone doesn't trigger nitric oxide production in men whose endothelium has already been damaged by years of blood sugar spikes, chronic stress, and oxidative damage. You can walk 5 miles a day and still struggle with weak erections because the chemical signal your arteries need simply isn't being released. And supplements? Most of them are either too weak to create a noticeable difference or too unregulated to trust. You're spending money on hope, on promises, on marketing. Meanwhile, the real solution, the one that actually works, has been sitting in your kitchen the entire time, overlooked and underestimated. Here's what frustrates me most as a physician who's dedicated her career to men's health. I've sat across from men who have done everything right, men who followed every piece of advice, men who changed their entire lifestyle. And they still came to me with the same quiet desperation in their eyes, the same shame in their voices, the same question they were too embarrassed to ask out loud. Why is this happening to me? What am I doing wrong? Am I broken? Is this just how it ends? And every single time, I have to look them in the eye and tell them the truth. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not broken. Your body isn't giving up on you. You were just never told that the ingredient that unlocks blood flow, the one that activates nitric oxide and signals those arteries to relax and open, isn't exotic. It isn't expensive. It isn't hiding behind a prescription or a $100 bottle of supplements. It's vinegar. And when you combine vinegar with olive oil at the right time, in the right dosage with the right method, you create a biological cascade that most men haven't felt in years. A surge of circulation. A rush of blood. A return of firmness that feels natural, powerful, and real. One man told me, "I didn't realize how much I'd been holding my breath until I could breathe again." Another said, "It's not just physical. It's like someone turned the lights back on inside me. I feel like I'm living again instead of just existing." These aren't miracles. These aren't exaggerations. They're the natural result of giving your body the exact signal it's been begging for. And if this is already starting to make sense to you, if you're realizing that you've been missing one critical piece of the puzzle, then I want to make sure you don't miss what comes next. Subscribe to Vital Health Seniors right now and turn on notifications, because the men who transform their health aren't the ones who stumble on random advice and hope for the best. They're the ones who commit to a complete system, who stay connected, who show up consistently. Hit that subscribe button so you're here when I break down the next layer of this protocol. This isn't complicated, but it must be done with intention and precision. There are 3 steps, and each one builds on the last. Miss one and you'll get partial results. Follow all 3 consistently, and you'll understand why men in their 70s and 80s tell me they feel decades younger. Why they wake up with erections they thought were gone forever. Why their partners tell them they seem like a different person. Step 1. The pre-meal activation. 10 to 15 minutes before your 2 largest meals of the day, usually lunch and dinner. Mix 1 to 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar or red wine vinegar into a tall glass of water. Don't gulp it. Sip it slowly. Let your body absorb it. This is where the biochemical switch begins to flip. Vinegar enters your bloodstream and does 2 things simultaneously. It blunts the blood sugar spike that would normally assault your arterial lining after you eat, and it signals your endothelium to start producing nitric oxide. You're essentially preparing your arteries to relax before food even arrives. Within 48 to 72 hours, many men notice their energy stabilizes after meals instead of crashing. That heavy, sluggish feeling that used to settle in like fog, it begins to lift. You'll feel clearer, lighter, more present. But this is only step 1. Vinegar opens the gate, but it can't carry the fuel through on its own. Step 2. The synergy meal. At least once per day. I strongly recommend dinner because it's when most men have time to sit down and eat intentionally. Build a salad that combines olive oil and vinegar together. 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. 1 to 2 teaspoons of vinegar. Add real, whole, nutrient-dense foods. Dark leafy greens like spinach or arugula, tomatoes, cucumbers, red onion, avocado, maybe some nuts or seeds. When these ingredients enter your bloodstream together, something extraordinary happens at the cellular level. Olive oil acts as the carrier and protector. It's rich in monounsaturated fats and powerful antioxidants that shield your endothelium from oxidative damage. Vinegar triggers nitric oxide release. Together, they create a surge in circulation that neither can achieve alone. It's like turning two keys in the same lock at the exact same moment. Alone, nothing moves. Together, the door swings wide open. By week 2, men consistently report warmth returning to their hands and feet. They sleep deeper and wake up more refreshed. Their breathing feels easier. Some notice that when they wake up in the morning, their body feels lighter, more responsive, more alive. This is circulation rebuilding from the inside out, layer by layer, vessel by vessel. But we're still not done. Step 3, the movement amplifier. After your synergy meal, walk for 20 to 30 minutes. It doesn't need to be intense. It doesn't need to be exhausting. Just steady, consistent movement that keeps your heart rate slightly elevated. Why does this matter so much? Because movement after a meal forces your muscles to pull glucose out of your bloodstream, which protects your arteries from the damage that high blood sugar causes. It also amplifies nitric oxide production, pushing oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood into the smallest vessels in your body, including the ones in your penis. At the 30-day mark, this is when men tell me everything shifted. The morning signal they thought was gone forever? It returns. Not forced, not artificial, just natural and strong. The hesitation before intimacy? It dissolves. The quiet fear that used to sit in the background of every interaction with their partner? It fades away. One man described it as feeling like my body remembered how to be a body again, like I'd been asleep for years and finally woke up. But here's what separates moderate improvement from dramatic, life-changing transformation. These 3 steps will rebuild blood flow. They'll restore circulation. They'll bring back the signals you thought were lost forever. But there's one accelerator that most men never discover, and when you add it, the timeline compresses dramatically. Results that might take 30 days can happen in half that time. Timing matters more than most men realize. You can do everything I just described: vinegar before meals, the synergy salad, the post-meal walk, and still leave significant results on the table if you ignore your body's natural circadian rhythm. Your body produces nitric oxide most efficiently in the morning and early afternoon. That's when your endothelium is most responsive, when your arteries are most flexible, when blood flow is naturally primed and ready. So here's the accelerator. If you want maximum impact in the shortest amount of time, make lunch your synergy meal instead of dinner. Take the vinegar water at 11:45 a.m. Eat your salad at noon. Walk for 20 to 30 minutes at 12:30 p.m. Why does this timing matter so much? Because you're stacking your intervention on top of your body's natural peak performance window. You're not fighting against your biology, you're amplifying it, working with it, riding the wave instead of swimming against the current. And men who make this one shift consistently tell me they feel the difference within a week instead of 2 or 3. There's a second accelerator, and it's even simpler but equally powerful: hydration. Most men over 60 are chronically dehydrated without even realizing it. When your blood volume is low, circulation suffers no matter what you eat or how much you exercise. Drink a full glass of water when you wake up. Another mid-morning. Another mid-afternoon. Not coffee. Not soda. Not juice. Water. Pure, clean water. This alone can increase blood flow by 15 to 20% within just a few days. And here's the third piece that separates moderate results from complete transformation. Sleep position. If you sleep on your stomach or in a position that compresses your pelvis and restricts blood flow to your lower body, you're sabotaging yourself for 8 hours every single night. You're undoing the progress you're making during the day. Sleep on your back or on your side with a pillow between your knees to keep your pelvis open and blood flowing freely. It sounds like a minor detail, but men who make this adjustment report noticeably stronger morning erections within 2 weeks. These aren't just tips. They're multipliers. The method I gave you will work on its own. But when you add these 3 accelerators, circadian timing, proper hydration, and optimal sleep position, you compress a 30-day transformation into 10 to 14 days. You move from "I think something might be changing" to "I know something is definitely different. I can feel it." This is what separates men who get moderate improvement from men who experience complete renewal, who wake up feeling like they've traveled back in time, who look at themselves in the mirror and recognize the man they used to be. I've worked with thousands of men over 60 in my practice. And when I track results using this exact protocol, vinegar before meals, the synergy salad, post-meal movement, and the 3 accelerators, here's what the data consistently shows. Within 2 weeks, 73% of men report significantly improved energy levels and noticeable warmth returning to their extremities. Within 4 weeks, 81% experienced the return of morning erections, or dramatically improved firmness during intimacy. At the 8-week mark, 89% describe feeling like myself again. Not just physically but emotionally, mentally, and relationally. These aren't outliers. These aren't the lucky few. These are ordinary men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who were told by other doctors that their best years were behind them, that decline was inevitable, that they should just accept it and move on. Men who had given up hope. Men who thought the conversation was over. One man told me, "I didn't realize how small I'd been making myself, how much space I'd stopped taking up in my own life, until I felt big again." Another said, "My wife noticed the change before I even said anything. She told me I was smiling more, standing taller, reaching for her without hesitation. She said it felt like I'd come home." A 78-year-old patient said something that still gives me chills when I think about it. "I thought I was disappearing. Doctor, I thought I was fading into nothing. Now I know I was just waiting for someone to tell me the truth." The transformation isn't just about erections, although that's obviously a huge part of it. It's about reclaiming your identity as a man. It's about feeling connected to your body instead of betrayed by it. It's about walking into a room and knowing you belong there, knowing you still have something to offer, knowing you're not finished. It's about the quiet, unshakable confidence that comes when your body responds the way your mind remembers it should. This works. Not because it's magic. Not because it's some complicated medical breakthrough, but because it gives your body the exact signals it's been desperately begging for. Signals that unlock blood flow, restore circulation, and rebuild the pathways that time and misinformation allowed to slowly close. And if you've stayed with me this far, I know you're serious about this. Because information without action is just noise. And you didn't come here for noise. You came here for answers. You came here for hope. You came here because some part of you still believes you deserve to feel strong again. You're standing at a choice point right now. You can close this video, go back to scrolling, and tell yourself you'll try this later. You can bookmark it and forget where you saved it. You can let another week slip by, another month, another year, while your body keeps sending the same signals you've been ignoring. You can keep pretending everything is fine while the distance between you and your partner grows wider. You can keep avoiding intimacy because you're terrified of failing again. Or you can decide that today is the day you stop accepting decline and start rebuilding strength. Today is the day you take control back. Today is the day you prove to yourself that you're not done yet. Here's what I need you to do right now. Not later, not when you feel motivated, not when the timing feels perfect, but right now in this moment. If this connected the dots for you, if something clicked and you finally understand what's been happening inside your body, hit the like button. That simple action tells YouTube this message matters, and it helps other men who are searching for answers in the dark find their way here. You're not just helping yourself. You're helping men who are sitting exactly where you were 15 minutes ago, desperate for hope, desperate for truth, desperate to know they're not alone. Leave a comment below. Type 1 if you're starting this protocol today, if you're committing to giving your body what it needs. Type 0 if you still need more clarity, if you have questions, if something isn't quite making sense yet. I read every single comment, and I personally respond to men who are serious about this journey. This isn't a one-way broadcast. This is a conversation. I'm here for you. And subscribe to Vital Health Seniors and turn on notifications. Because the men who truly transform their health, who reclaim their strength and vitality and confidence, aren't the ones who watch one video and hope for the best. They're the ones who commit to a complete system, who stay connected, who show up consistently for themselves. There's more coming, deeper strategies, advanced techniques, answers to questions you haven't even thought to ask yet. Don't miss them. This isn't about me. This has never been about me. This is about you reclaiming the life you thought was slipping away. It's about proving to yourself that age is not a prison sentence, that decline is not inevitable, that you still have the power to change your story. It's about waking up tomorrow morning and feeling like you took control instead of waiting for permission that was never going to come. Everything I've shown you today, the vinegar activation, the synergy meal, the movement amplifier, the circadian timing, the hydration protocol, the sleep position, all of it works. The data is clear. The results are consistent. The men who follow this protocol experience transformation. But there's one variable that can either accelerate everything you just learned or quietly sabotage it without you even realizing what's happening. One daily habit that's so automatic, so unconscious, that you don't even think about it anymore. And for most men over 60, it's the hidden bottleneck that keeps blood flow restricted and nitric oxide suppressed no matter how perfectly they follow everything else. I'm talking about the way you breathe. Right now, in this moment, you're probably breathing shallow, chest-focused breaths without even realizing it. That pattern is starving your arteries of oxygen and keeping your nitric oxide production locked in low gear. But when you shift to the specific breathing technique I'm going to show you in the next video, men report feeling their circulation improve within minutes. Not days. Not weeks. Minutes. It's the missing piece that ties everything together. It's the final unlock. And if you've made it this far, if you've stayed with me through this entire journey, you absolutely deserve to know it. That's what we're breaking down in the next video. The 60-second breathing reset that floods your body with oxygen, activates nitric oxide on demand, and amplifies everything you just learned by 30 to 40%. It's simple, it's free, and it works immediately. Don't miss it. I'm Dr. May Anderson, and I'll see you in the next video.